Hey kids, you're watching spooky cinema! Ah!
Hey YouTube horror fans, this is SuziCidal Maniac and
Oki von Frankenstein
of Spooky Cinema.
Today we are going to do the Horror Fanatic Challenge. I found it on Tumblr. We're probably supposed to do it like one question a day, but no, we're gonna do them all.
We condensed it.
Yes.
Easier.
And you know what? We thought it was gonna be really easy skimming through them, but once we tried answering them, it proved to be rather difficult.
It's very difficult to start narrowing everything down as far as the questions go. There's so many favorites, so many worst movies. It's hard.
There's just too much. It's like picking your favorite cat if you're like a crazy cat lady or something. But anyway, let's start. So the first one was your first horror movie. What was yours?
Okay, my first horror movie, as far as I can remember, was A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
My favorite.
It is a good one. As a kid, I did have nightmares about Freddy. The images of him with the syringes on his finger really stuck with me. So that's what got in my head, the nightmares. Which is never good to have nightmares about Freddy. Nobody lives.
That's also why she doesn't do heroin.
Exactly.
Mine, like you said, like as far as I remember, it was Dolly Dearest.
Oh, okay.
It's God, when was it made? Like the 80s or something. And it's ironic because it was the tie between Dolly Dearest and Child's Play. So it's like both dolls. But then it's even more weird because when I was little, I had a little dolls. So it's like something's wrong with your kid. But yeah, number 2. First horror movie you saw in theaters.
Again, to my recollection, the first movie I saw in theaters was the 1999 remake of House on Haunted Hill. That movie scared the hell out of me. It really did. It seriously did. I think that Jeffrey Combs as Dr. Vanica did a great job, and he's also been one of my favorite actors, so I really liked him in that movie.
Nice. Mine, it's probably kind of lame, but mine was Darkness Falls. I was in 5th grade, so let's not judge right away. But I would have to watch it again, but I remember enjoying it actually. Emily Browning was in it, who I love. And I remember every time the Tooth Fairy would scream, I'd have to cover my ears because it was so loud and so like screechy that I was like, oh god. So that was that. Number 3, favorite classic horror movie.
This one was a hard one to choose from, but I narrowed it down to The Last Man on Earth.
Ooh,
Vincent
nice.
Price was awesome in that film, and I think out of all of the remakes of Richard Matheson's book, I Am Legend, this is the closest one to the book. I think this movie's the closest story to the book, so that's why it's one of my favorites.
Very nice. Mine was Carrie. I actually went through. And I was really obsessed with Carrie in middle school. My dad showed it to me, and I was just, I don't know, because like a typical like getting picked on kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it was my favorite in middle school, and then I think once I wanted to do a book report on it too, but the librarian got rid of all the Stephen King books because they were inappropriate. So yes. Number 4, favorite horror remake.
Okay, mine I chose I Spit on Your Grave. That is an awesome remake, and there's not a lot of great remakes out there, but this one is really good. It stuck to the really violent scenes. It was really close to the story as well. That's really what I liked about it.
Nice. Mine was Night of the Demons, the remake, and I love the original. Just like the little details, like when Angela's dancing to Stigmata Martyr.
Oh.
And you know they did that again in the remake, but with it was that Black #1 song from what were they called? Typo Negative. It was a Typo Negative song. But anyway, I loved it because 45 Grave did the theme song. It was just like a really big like party horror movie. It was really good.
Just like the original.
Yeah, pretty much. Number 5, favorite vampire movie.
my favorite vampire movie is Let the Right One In.
Yay!
I really, really loved the whole story. It was a mix between a lot of darkness, and there was what I saw a little bit of romance in there between Ella and I believe his name was Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked that mix in the movie. And the book as well was really good, and it stuck along with the story. So that's
The book has amazing details, so.
It does. Like, right details.
Mine was Let's Scare Jessica to Death. It's from the 70s, and it's not like a conventional vampire film, like there's no fangs, just like crazy townspeople shanking people and drinking their blood. But I couldn't decide, and this one honestly really did stand out to me as a movie overall, so yes, that one. Number 6. Favorite foreign horror film. Oh god. This one was the hardest for me.
It was one of the more difficult ones, but I chose Shudder. That one was pretty creepy. I liked that it was more paranormal. You know, it had the ghost in it, the pictures of the ghost, caught on film and everything like that. I liked the twist at the end. That was when I saw that reveal. That was like my favorite part right there.
That terrified Petrie.
Oh really?
He was like scared of that.
Poor Petrie.
Mine, it took me like so long to pick one
Hours.
because they're like my babies. But my favorite one was A Tale of Two Sisters, which that was one of the first Korean horror movies I saw, and I saw it because, and this is gonna sound stupid, but I thought it was like a spin-off of Fatal Frame 2 because the sisters. I was wrong, but anyway, it ended up being one of the best horror movies I've seen in general. It's amazing.
It's a good movie.
Number 7 is horror movie everyone loves but you hate.
Oh no. Okay. This one was the hardest one for me. It took me a long time, hours. I know I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this. Even the most pickiest horror fans I know absolutely loves this movie. I really was not impressed by it. Cabin in the Woods. No, I'm sorry. I was not impressed with that movie.
It's okay.
I really wasn't.
I forgive you.
absolutely hated the ending. It was just kind of ridiculous to me, but not in a good way. So that's my choice.
How sad. Okay, mine was, I don't know, I guess people will get mad at me too. I don't know if you will. The one I hated really bad was Paranormal Activity.
Oh no.
The first one? Okay.
Oh, I'm
yeah.
not.
See, and, because everyone hyped it up, and then they had, like, the TV spots with, like, the crowd reaction, and, like, every person in the theater was, like, like, jumping, and, like, me and my dad were so pumped. And then when we saw it, we were just sitting there the whole time, like, what the hell is everyone so scared about? It wasn't, like, a bad film, but I hate it because people hyped it up so much.
I think they showed the scarier parts in the trailer than the actual movie.
Which they do a lot with like every
They've been
movie.
doing it a lot,
but what can you do except kill them? Number 8 was favorite comedy/horror film. This one was hard too.
Okay, mine was it's a film that was made I believe in 1963. It's called The Comedy of Terrors. It stars Vincent Price.
Oh yeah.
Boris Karloff, Peter Lorre, a couple of other actors. It's hilarious. What can I say? Vincent Price is running a funeral parlor and he's trying to kill off older people to get money to be able to fund this. It's hilarious. You really have to check it out. I've watched it like over 10 times already. It's great.
Mine is kind of a recent movie. It's called All About Evil. No? That one, it was directed by a drag queen named Peaches Christ.
No, I've heard
and Mink Stoll's in it, Cassandra Friedrichsen, who, Elvira, she's in it, Thomas Dekker. It has like a really good cast, and it's hilarious. It's like I don't want to say too much about it because it'll spoil it. Okay, number 9, favorite horror icon/actor.
Okay.
I don't know if mine's correct.
It took me kind of a while for this one, but I went with Bruce Campbell as my favorite actor, at least one of them. He's great. He goes from being serious from The Evil Dead to being super hilarious in Army of Darkness. He's done some other comedy films. He's had cameos here and there, and you know, I kind of think that he's more of an underrated actor, but you know, just he's one of the cult icons of horror. So that's why I like him a lot.
I think mine's a horror icon. It's Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I actually grew up watching Ketchup Vampires when I was little, and she narrated it. So one night I was watching Spanish TV, and Mistress of the Dark was on, and I was like, oh my god, it's her. And my sister came home, and she said that I was watching it in my room, and my dad was watching it in his room at the same time. So she's been like an idol, pretty much, since I was 5.
And today's actually her birthday.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
right. Today is her
so
birthday.
Happy birthday.
She has
to
not
Elvira.
aged at all.
She looks gorgeous still.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Okay, number 10 is favorite zombie movie.
Okay, I had a couple, but I chose Shaun of the Dead. It's hilarious.
Which I haven't seen.
And I can't believe that. I cannot believe he has not seen Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, I know. I will.
It has the comedy of it. You know, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, those two as a duo are awesome. Has all the good gore in it. It's just a really fun movie. I think it's really fun.
Well, I guess mine is kind of funny too in some parts. I picked Hell Driver. It's Japanese. It's by Nishimura, who did Tokyo Gore Police. It's so over the top, more than Tokyo Gore Police, but also it's not. It's like 2 hours. Like, it's not like a really rushed, random like crap fest. Like, it's really long. Like, there's a story to it. And also, like, in Japan, they don't bury their dead. They burn them. They cremate them. So
That's right.
you know, it's interesting to see how they would make a zombie film over there. Number 11, favorite horror movie monster.
My favorite horror movie monster is Pinhead from Hellraiser. You know, he's just
Of course. I
of
don't know if
course
you
the
can see
box.
this.
The puzzle box. He's so menacing, you know, and knowing the way that he became Pinhead it's an interesting story, and there's no one else that could play him and be as menacing as he is. And I think that throughout all the movies, even though some of them aren't that great, he's still become one of those icons, an iconic monster as far as the horror genre
Yeah,
goes.
you know who he is. Like, if you say the name,
Pinhead.
course.
Of course, everybody knows Pinhead.
I picked Tomie, which, okay, the movies aren't as good as the comic book, but overall, she's definitely my favorite because she looks like a normal girl. In fact, everyone obsesses over her, like in the comic book. But when she turns into her monster form, it's grotesquely beautiful. It's amazing. So she's my favorite for sure. Best horror movie death scene.
Okay, so earlier I was wondering if this even counted as a death scene, but I'm gonna go with it. It was a scene from the movie Dead Alive, where Lionel has the lawnmower, and when all the zombies are coming into the house, he's just tearing them up to pieces. There's gore everywhere, body parts flying everywhere. It's one of the coolest scenes out there.
It is a rather nice scene.
My favorite.
That's a death scene, yeah.
Yeah.
I picked a scene from The Red Shoes. It's Korean. It's a Korean horror film. And yeah, it's when, you know, the kind of overweight girl's like walking down the street with her heels, and the ghost comes out and pulls her eye out. And you don't see it in the regular cut as much as you do in the director's cut, because in the director's cut they show the whole thing. She pulls it out, pushes her into like a glass display, and like saws her leg off with the glass. And in detail though, it's amazing. Okay, number 13, favorite movie soundtrack.
Okay. This one is, I gotta say, it's probably gonna be a lot of people's favorite. I chose soundtrack for Return of the Living Dead.
Ah, yes.
Awesome soundtrack.
I do want to party.
Right? You know, you get a lot of punk music in there. You have 45 Grave. I mean, what's better than that? You know?
I know, right?
And it goes with the movie. It's perfect for the movie. So that's the one that I chose as my favorite soundtrack. Best soundtrack.
I picked Ring, the Japanese Ring, and I guess when you think of Ring, you really don't think of the soundtrack at all. But I just recently downloaded it, and I swear, like, if you just listen to it without watching the movie, it's so amazing. It's so amazingly composed. It's a really good soundtrack, and then watching the movie again, it's a cherry on top, for sure. Okay, 14, worst horror movie.
This one was actually pretty simple for me. I chose.
It was easy.
I chose Hellraiser Revelations.
Oh gosh.
I hate that movie. Hate it. Because it's not Doug Bradley playing Pinhead. And in that film it seems like there's 2 Pinheads. It's just like, doesn't make any sense. But no, the story was lame. And I was reading the article that they claimed that it went back to the original story, which it really doesn't. I don't know where they get this idea from, but I hated it. And there's only one Pinhead, like I said before, one Pinhead, that is Doug Bradley. No one else can play a better Pinhead than him.
Mine. And I don't know if you've seen it, Slaughterhouse Massacre. Have you seen it? Okay. You know there's those movies that are like bad on purpose? I don't think this is one of them. And it was really bad. Me and my dad rented it, I guess like 5 years ago. He has weird taste in movies, but both of us were just sitting there staring at the screen like, who the fuck made this? And I seriously, rent it, download it, anything, and have a beer because it's bad. Like, words can't describe how bad this one is. And now we're down to our last question, which was hard for you too, I'm sure.
It was a little hard for me.
It was top 5 favorite horror films of all time.
This is one of those questions where it's so hard to narrow down all the movies, and I wish I could have added more in there. I wish the list could have been longer, but it was only 5, and that's not very many. But as far as it goes, number 5 would be Gremlins. It's always one of my favorites. It's funny. I love Gizmo, and Gremlins are cute. In a bug way.
They're remaking it, by the way.
Oh no.
Yeah. We'll get to that later. But
Number 4, I chose Reanimator. Again, Jeffrey Combs, and besides H.P. Lovecraft story. So, and it's hilarious too. I mean, Jeffrey Combs is just awesome. He's just plain awesome.
Yeah.
And number 3, I chose Hellbound Hellraiser 2,
Ah.
which it has more of the original Cenobites from the first movie, so that's a plus to me. Number 2, I chose Evil Dead, which I think has paved the road for a lot of horror movies now. Number 1, which is my favorite movie of all time, Clive Barker's Nightbreed. Favorite movie ever.
I just recently saw it too for the first time. Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I loved it. Yes. Don't worry. All right. Gosh, you know what? This one was hard for me because a lot of my favorite movies aren't really horror. Like I had to say like Stoker is probably my favorite movie, but it's not really horror. You know what I mean? So it was kind of hard. Number 5, I picked Ju-on 2. I really didn't like the first one. It's like so cheesy, and I like cheesy movies. But Ju-on 2, there's so many moments where there's really nothing going on, but if you look around, there's like a ghost in the background, or there's always something in the background to look at, and it's trippy. So, number 4, I'm actually gonna change this one, because you said Gremlins, and I'm thinking I could put something in here that's not entirely horror, right? For number 4, I'm gonna say Suicide Club, which was
a good one.
Yeah, it's the first Japanese movie I ever saw, and actually the director Sono Shion is my favorite. All his movies so far have been amazing. Number 3, the original Evil Dead. I saw it, I think, in middle school, and for the longest time, that's all I would watch, like Friday night, just because I thought it was just so awesome. At that point, I hadn't seen anything like it yet. Number 2 was Tomie Unlimited. which is the latest Tomiya movie. And this one actually does, it is kind of like the comic book, whereas the previous ones kind of tried to like bring out her human qualities, which she has none in the comic. So this one was really amazing. I loved it. And number 1 was Silent Hill. The first one. I hated the second one. But Silent Hill, because when I was little, I used to watch my sister play it. It was about like 6 or 7. And it was just like a big nerdgasm, pretty much. And people say that they didn't capture the atmosphere quite right. But I mean, a lot of the atmosphere from the game comes from the fact that you're playing it. Like, you're the one behind the controller. You're the one dying, you know what I mean? So I think you can't really capture that on screen. And I think they did a really good job. So that was that.
And the game is pretty scary.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, the first few. I played one of the new ones and I was kind of like, it's okay.
No.
Not bad. Well, that's about it.
That's it for our Horror Fanatic challenge.
If you'd like, you can tell us what your favorite horror films of all time are. At the bottom.
Yes, leave any comments or anything. So yeah, that's about it for now.
Yeah. See you next time.